Hi, good morning. Hi, everybody. This is Stacy, and welcome to tea time. It is Saturday, it is 9 a.m., and we are doing the things. All right. I'm really looking forward to our discussion today. We're going to be talking about the dance between two of the most critical things to making your life come alive, to making all the different things that you're desiring, the things that you want to create. We're talking about the two things that can either make you feel like you're killing it or like you're failing at life. And I'm one to tell you because, trust me, aside from going through my own process of failing at these two things, at least in my mind, right? Failing at these two things, I've also spent a lot of time just examining the correlation between these two things and how they actually influence the way that your life unfolds. So, what are we talking about this morning on Tea Time? Well, we are talking about the art of making decisions and the role that discipline plays in actualizing those decisions. So, we're really talking about two things primarily, and these two things are oftentimes not easy for people to navigate, and that's decision making and then discipline. But I can tell you that it is so important for you to master these areas. And when I talk about mastery, I'm not talking like some PhD that you have to earn, right? It's so not about that. What I'm talking about is the priority that you have to place on recognizing how you are making decisions and managing the different ways that you are being disciplined about the decisions that you're making. I was listening this week, I listened to a lot of podcasts and I read a ton of books. And this week I was listening to Ed Millett and Brendan Burchard talking about decision making. And at the same time, I had just finished releasing my own podcast where my guest was talking to me about the way that uh, discipline has helped her, like helped her to actually create this amazing life where she's building this wonderful business and she's navigating all these different challenges with her special needs son and just moving through all the different demands on herself as a wife and mother, and an entrepreneur. And she was talking about the role that discipline played in that. So initially, I was going to come on and talk to y'all about decisions. But then I realized, okay, people may struggle with making decisions. They may find it that it's not so easy to make a decision, especially when it's something big, right? Or what we think of as major. And then they might make a decision and then they don't have the discipline or the commitment to actually execute on the decision that they have made. And so they end up facing the same very things that you were worried about when you wanted to make a decision. You end up facing that thing because you don't have the discipline to actually execute. So I wanted to talk about why decisions scare us, because ultimately that's what it boils down to. Decisions scare us. And I want to talk about how you can navigate making decisions with ease, even though it may feel like it's a tough thing to do, right? So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to top it off with also discussing the role that discipline plays and why, because I think discipline has been for me one of the most uncomfortable areas that I've had to deal with recently. And I don't know if you are facing the same challenges, but let me tell you something. I've had to double down on, first of all, the discipline of my mind, like how I'm using my headspace. And then beyond that, I've also had to double down on just the way that I am talking to myself about being disciplined. Because I used to talk to myself that I'm not disciplined and I can't finish anything and all of these negative things, right? Negative self talk. So we're going to get into that today. And I hope that this will bless you because trust me, just going through the preparation process, I was just getting so excited. I couldn't wait to come. It's like when I talk about go tell it on the mountain, I couldn't run. I couldn't wait to run and come and talk to you guys about what I was kind of discovering. So let's first of all pull an intention card because we start everything with intention. Let's see what we get this week since we're going to be talking about decisions and discipline and who we are being in that. Oh, this is really good. Oh my gosh, I love when the cards line up. Okay, so today's card is I am responsible for every aspect of my being. I really feel like say I just manifest the right card in the right moment because this is the exact card for the subject today. So the intention is I am responsible for every aspect of my being. I am responsible. I am responsible. It says, I hold the keys to how I show up in my life and take responsibility for my actions, whether positive or negative in impact. Oh, we couldn't have gotten a more perfect card. So the intention says, I'm responsible for every aspect of my being. I'm responsible. Me, you are responsible. You are responsible for every aspect of your being. And the affirmation says, I hold the keys. So you hold the keys to how you show up in life. And you should take responsibility for your actions, whether the outcome is positive or negative. I know that's a tough one for a lot of people to follow because we like to externalize our responsibility. You know, it's on that person or it's their fault or it's, you know, so this card today, perfect. I am the person that's responsible for every aspect of my being and I hold the keys to how I show up in my life. So let's jump into it. So let's talk first about being scared of making decisions and the fear that that may present for lots of people. Okay. So when you think about decision making fear, it really comes down to fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and sometimes even fear of success. A lot of times we don't even realize that we are afraid of being successful. We're afraid of what if this could go right. I know that you've probably seen that quote around a few times, you know, where I think it's Marianne Williamson that it came from, where it talks about being more afraid of actually the light that you could bring to the world or the success or the impact that you could create. So fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and fear of success. And that when you have these fears, these underlying fears, the hesitation that you experience because you have this decision in front of you, okay? You have this decision in front of you and you're like hesitating. I know, I do it all the time where something is there. Sometimes it's not even a big decision, you know, and it's just like I find myself stuck in the decision making process. So that hesitation can stagnate your growth, can stagnate your progress, and it can make you feel stuck. Now, keep in mind, guys, that even though sometimes the fear will be there about making a decision, and because you don't know what path to take, and you're worried that if you take this path, it's going to end up being the wrong path. The truth is that the path is a path. And I'm sure that if you look back over your life, right? If you look back over your life, you have made decisions in times when you weren't sure, or you didn't make decisions in times where you weren't sure, and life just kept on rolling. Life just kept on rolling, or other people made decisions for you. Okay? And in that happening, you still ended up at some kind of end result. So when you think about decision fear, you have to recognize what is the underlying thing here. Is it fear of the unknown? Is it because I'm afraid of failing? Is it because I'm afraid of succeeding? I don't know what I would do if I succeed. I don't know what I'm going to do if I land in a whole bunch of money. Right? What is it? What is it that is actually creating that decision fear and causing you to feel stuck or to hesitate? And when you shy away, what you have to recognize is when you shy away from decisions, you are also shying away from the opportunities and the lessons that the choice you are making is going to bring. You know, it's like you build this ship, like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. You build the ship and then it just sits in the harbor. It don't ever sail. There is no movement forward. There is no next step. Okay. I want you to think about one of my clients, right? He had an opportunity to start his own business. And with that opportunity, of course, he's attending all the classes, he's visiting all the gurus, doing all the things, all the expert, da 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 da. Write the business plan, do the strategy, do all of the things. And he recognized that every single time he was sitting down, when we were going through our coaching, every time he was sitting down and looking at stuff, it's like there were, well, what if this happened? And what if that happened? And suppose. And you could see that he was getting into analysis paralysis because of those what ifs. So he could not make the decision to move forward and go and get the loan from the bank that he knows he needed in order to execute. What if it ruined my credit? What if I don't get the money back to pay back the loan and I have to file for bankruptcy? Like all the different what ifs. And that fear of failing kept him from pursuing the dream. Now, one of the things that he did that was smart was he actually made the decision to get coaching, because clearly he was stuck and he wasn't able to move beyond that stuckness. Sometimes you can't move beyond your own stuckness, it's just the reality. Sometimes you're just stuck and it's like you're in not just mud, but you're in quicksand, and you have to get the help to pull you out because you're in it. Your mind just paralyzes you with all the analysis. And so there is no forward movement. And you have to reach out for somebody to help you. So luckily he made that decision. And as a result, he was able to put some kind of what you'd say, not safety nets, so to speak, safety nets, but some pivot methods that he could use in the event that he started to see some of the things actualize, because we know what you focus on expands. And of course, if you're focusing on the what ifs, then the what ifs are going to start to show up. All right. So think about that. Understand where your decision fear is coming from. Figure out where your hesitation is. Write it down, get yourself journaling, and start to take it out of your head. Right. Now, the next thing I wanted to move on to was embracing decision making. So we talked about the underlying fear part. Once you get beyond that, now you have to step into, well, I'm going to make this decision. Okay. This is good this morning. Really good this morning. Today, I'm having my usual black tea, and I'm using a new kind of honey, and it just tastes nice. Oh, by the way, if you're noticing these, we call them band-aids on my fingers, it's not because I was cooking and cut myself, even though I have been cooking like crazy this week. It's because my nails are breaking, and when I try to save them, I put on. Anyway, sidebar, moving on. Okay, so the tea is good. I hope you have your tea. I hope you have your coffee. Morning, Shawnee. We're moving on now from understanding decision fear, and we're now getting into embracing your decision making. So we want to feel good as often as possible about making decisions. And I'm going to talk about one of the decisions that I made when I was sick and how that impacted kind of what I was doing with my life, right? It doesn't have to be a daunting process. When I was listening to the podcast with Ed Millett and Brendan Burchard, one of the things that Brendan said is that most of the decisions that we need to make, it's like within 2 weeks, except for the ones where you're thinking about getting married, or if you're going to be like starting a business or quitting your job or whatever the case is. Like those two ones, the quitting the job or the starting the business or the getting married, those ones you want to spend some time, more than 2 weeks thinking about. But he was like, generally in 2 weeks' time, you can make a decision. And I'm like thinking, in 2 weeks' time, have I taken longer than that? Yes, I took forever to decide that I was going to step out and be in my own business full time. That decision took me, I think, 5 years to actually make the decision to step into my own business full time. Something like this, tea time. I saw myself, I had a show on Tuesday nights that I used to do. And I don't even remember how I made that decision. I think I just got up and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go live on Tuesday nights. And it was just like, boom, and it was done. Last year, I was going through a whole life drama, and I started to talk about it on Saturday mornings. Like it was Friday night. I think I had some drama on the Friday night. And the next morning I hopped on and I was doing a story, and I realized that every Friday night, it's like every week something happened on a Friday. And so I had to be talking on a Saturday. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to start a show on Saturday morning so I can have these conversations, because people were always messaging me after about what I was talking about. So I said, okay. I made a decision to the tea time. Now, this for me is a lot of fun. And so embracing the decision to hop on here and have conversation with you guys is an easy decision. You understand? So of course, I can make this, I don't need 2 weeks, right? I can just think about it over 48 hours and I'm on here talking to y'all. But for somebody else who may be thinking about, going live on a regular basis or starting a podcast or, like my client that I was talking to you about earlier, starting a business, whatever. It may be like for you to turn on the camera, it's literally like you have analysis paralysis. You're thinking about your hair, your makeup, your nose, your this, your that, like all the things, right? And so then it feels more daunting. And when you look at it that way and get stuck in that, that's where you're now sitting in the fear, which is what we talked about first. Instead, what you want to do is you want to start small. So we talk about how writing things down helps you to get out of your head. I love that. I just think that we don't do enough of that. We spend so much time in our heads. We need to get out of our heads and write things down on paper. What are the pros or cons of me stepping into this decision? Take it out of your head, write it down on paper. If it's a big decision that you're making, like buying a house or applying for a new job, what are the pros and cons? Just write it down. Write pros, write it down. Cons, write it down. Take it out of your head. And then the next question to ask yourself after you write it down and say, well, boy, it looked like the pros kind of short, the cons seem like more. The next question to ask yourself, even if the cons are more, what is it that I am letting go of or leaving behind or willing to release by not stepping into this decision? What is it that I am letting go of? What is it that I am releasing in the thing that I want, in the dream that I have? What am I putting at risk? What am I leaving on the table if I don't step into this decision? And sometimes when you write down, what you're willing to leave behind, what you are, maybe you're not even willing to leave behind, but what are you gonna end up leaving behind because you're looking at the cons list and it not making you feel so good, you feel uncomfortable. What exactly is it that you're giving up? Is it something that is so important to you that, your heart is going to be broken because you are now choosing to, I'm not going to focus on this, I'm just going to leave it and let the universe decide? Let, all things that just, think about that. And sometimes you may actually come out with, I'm not making a decision right now because I'm not in a good place to make this decision. Well, all I got to say to you is that there is good even in the bad decisions, because every decision that you make is going to teach you something, and it's going to teach you something valuable. As a matter of fact, I think I may have learned more valuable lessons from decisions I made that were bad, right? More so than the ones that were great for me. Okay? So when I was sick and I made the decision that I was going to drink my pee when I had breast cancer, and I just made the decision I was going to drink my urine as a part of my treatment plan because I was afraid of the chemotherapy, right? When I made that decision, you think it was easy? I mean, clearly not, right? I'm living my life. I'm 34 years old. I have breast cancer. I have 3 young children. Okay, what are the things that I'm going to do to save my life? There was no decision that came easy. I had to decide to cut off my breast. That was not an easy decision, but it was something like, okay, and did I write on the pros and cons? Yeah, pro, live longer, con, die. Okay. You understand? Now, I'm just being dramatic here, guys, but you get what I'm saying. We spend a lot of time in that fear piece and not enough time really looking at what exactly is it that this decision is going to teach me that's valuable. Now, after I made the decision to have a mastectomy and remove my breast, it was afterwards that was the difficult part. I mean, going through the process was hard. The surgery, surgery, whatever. But you see, when I had to take off the bandage and look at myself in the mirror where I used to have breasts and now have scar, oh my gosh. Like I had a total meltdown in that bathroom because of the decision. And I mean, I talked to the doctor. I was asking all kind of things. Can I save my nipple? Can I save this part? Can I save? Can I save? Because it was a very daunting thing to decide to remove a part of my body that was so core to me. And in many instances, when I think about other decisions that I have to make, other things that I need to step into, like, okay, I'm building my business. I'm spending all this money on building my business. That is nothing compared to the decision that I had to make about saving my life. So then sometimes it pales in comparison. I'm like, what are you doing with your life, Stacey? What are you doing with your life, you out there? Right? What are you holding yourself back from by not embracing a decision now that could change your life forever? You have to view your decision as a choice that is going to either elevate you because there's an opportunity on the other side, or it is going to teach you something valuable because you have no idea what's on the other side. But that choice, in hindsight, will always have value. No matter which direction you go, every choice that you make is for you. Every decision that you make is for you. And the moment that you can step into embracing that, it's going to make decision making easier. Remember the card. I am responsible for every aspect of my being. It didn't just show up here by coincidence. Clearly, I pulled it because a lot of times we feel like our decisions are based on other people. And it don't have to be. Okay? So let's think about a method for easy decision making, right? You identify the decision, write it down. Get it out of your head. Don't just, if you find yourself like haggling, get it out of your head. Identify the decision. Then get the information that you need to get. Sometimes you need to do research. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's just a matter of figuring it out, right? Think about the outcomes, the pros and the cons, and then choose. Choose something. Step out and choose. Do you guys remember that last week we talked about you having the power to choose and also having the power to change? Because guess what happened now? You can make the decision today and you're going down the path and you're executing and you're now getting all these red flags that are telling you, hey, this decision that you made, it's not taking you down the path you want. Now may be the time to change the path that you're on. Maybe now is the time to make a new decision. And I'm not saying that you should be running around choosing and changing. You really want to be intentional about your process. So you're not just deciding and then, oh, I don't like how this feels, and then you change it. No, you want to be reflective. You want to observe yourself. You want to ask yourself those same curiosity questions. What am I learning? What am I growing from? What am I experiencing? Right? You want to do all of those things to help you to step more powerfully into decision making. Now, here is where the rubber hits the road. You see, once you decide, then the next thing that comes up is the discipline to stick with the decision. And when I say discipline to stick with the decision, I mean to actually do the execution. Discipline is what actually turns your decision into a reality. It's the part where you start to show up for yourself. And this is where, even when it gets not so easy, right? Especially when it's not easy, this is the part where you start to show up for your decision that you have made. Now, why can discipline seem challenging? Because discipline, it came out from a word, right? It came about because of certain actions. Discipline requires you to move beyond your comfort zone. It requires you to commit to your choices every single day. It is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. I give you an example, right? Morning, Tash. Thank you. Happy Saturday to you too. I'll give you an example. I am constantly deciding to do the operation snatched from my body. Like I have this desire to have a particular physical, external experience, strength and toning and da 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 da. I lack discipline in doing the exercise part. Food, no problem. I mean, clearly, if I can drink my pee when I have cancer, I can go liquid vegan. I can do the food part of health, I can commit. Although right now I'm having a little bit of difficulty with all the sweets and things, but that's a separate conversation. You see, when it comes to the exercise, Stacy is challenged by discipline. And I know that there are certain things that are the bridge between where I am and where I want to be. I know that. I'm very aware of it. But can I tell you, this is the one area that I am consistently like, okay, yeah, man. And I don't wait till the beginning of the year. It could be the middle of the year. It could be quarter way through. It could be the end of the year. I go and hire a trainer. I go and join a club. I'm doing all the things. I buy the clothes. I get the app. I've done it all, guys. I just, the discipline part of it, to feel my legs hurt me when I'm going up steps, I'm just not, I can't do it. I don't know if you're in the same boat, but that's my area. That's my Achilles heel. I don't know what is your area, right? But when it comes to improving your health and your physical structure, I know for sure that that is something that you have to be disciplined around. And some people, like even my friend that's on here now, like I look at her stories and I see her working out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm cheering her on and I'm like, yes, girl, go get it. But can I tell you, you think I reach out and ask her, can you tell me where you got those weights? Absolutely not. I might reach out and ask her where she got the tights because the tights look good, but I'm not asking about the exercise equipment or what YouTube channel she's exercising with. I'm not, because it's just, I'm working through it, guys. I'm working through it. Don't judge me. No, you may have an area that is challenging for you. And it's something that you need a little bit more support in how you are tackling it, right? Because you need to move beyond the comfort zone in order to cross that bridge from where you are to where you want to be. And in order for you to actually create any transformation in your life, you have to recognize that this is where I need that discipline. And the power of discipline is always giving back to you. It's like a 10x kind of experience. So I decided that this year is going to be my year where I'm going to crack the code on discipline around my physical exercise. And so I sat down and I literally wrote out exactly what I was trying to achieve. As a matter of fact, Honeyboo and I, when we were going through our planning activities, which I shared with you at the beginning of the year, we literally sat down and kind of penciled in, what is it? Is it my body mass index that I'm trying to figure out? Like I got that granular. I talked about, which clubs I was going to join, how many days per week I'm going to go, the apps I'm going to download, what I'm going to do if I fall into a trap of not wanting to go to the gym. Okay, I'm going to exercise in bed. Like I'm not giving myself any out. I'm facing that discomfort. So in a similar way, you want to step into discipline for the thing that may be your big Achilles heel. It may be the thing that you just can't seem to narrow, get your head wrapped around, right? And in some instances, we can be disciplined for others, but it's very difficult for us to be disciplined for ourselves. So we will show up at the job. We will show up at the job, but we won't show up for our husband. Right? We will show up at the girlfriends hangout every Friday night, but we won't show up at the gym with a trainer. Right? We will show up with our kids, because our kids, like that's one area I was very disciplined about. My kids, because they're my kids, I'm gonna show up for my kids. So it's like an innate discipline I have there. But I may not show up for my family, the wider family, as a point of discipline. You will show up for work. You won't show up for your hobbies or your passion projects. You will show up. I can use work a million ways. You will show up for the thing that makes you money, but you won't show up for the thing that gives you self-care. Like, you won't show up for the practices that help you to get more rest. You won't show up for sleep. You won't show up for, you know what your thing is, right? You will show up for your guys, your dude friends, and the one them that holding you down, and you will show up for the football game, or you will show up for that, but you won't show up for your wife for a date night or for whatever she's asking for. Yeah, as Tony says, ouch, that's me in some areas. Way more discipline for others than for myself. Absolutely. And so we have to recognize where we are and now shift into where we want to be, or shift into facing the discomfort around whatever it is that we're not feeling the discipline. Like, we made the decision, I made the decision, and yet still I don't have the discipline to follow through. So I came up with a very simple formula called the double D formula for success: decisions plus discipline. And it's supposed to help you with navigating the complexity of any kind of growth that you are trying to achieve, whether it's personal growth or professional growth. Because oftentimes success really boils down to these two components. And if you feel like, if your mind is telling you that you are failing at life, it's usually because you either haven't decided or you're not disciplined in the decision that you make. But if you can combine these two elements, right, that's where you get the double D from, then you can create success in whichever area of your life that you want to experience. So let's talk about the double D formula for success using decisions and discipline. So the first thing is you want to decide with clarity. And the second thing is you want to create consistency with discipline. So you're creating clarity through your decision making, and you're creating consistency through your discipline. So when you think about deciding with clarity, you want to identify what you're trying to achieve. What is your intention? So identify that outcome, identify the why, identify what is on the other side. Start with a clear understanding of what you want to achieve, right? It could be a career move. It could be a happier marriage. It could be, getting married. It could be having that baby. Maybe it's a personal development goal. Maybe you want to change your lifestyle or your health. Clarity is going to be key for you. Then you want to think about, well, what are my options? What are all the different ways that I could possibly get to my goal, right? When it comes to creating an amazing love experience, what are the different ways that you could get to that goal? And sometimes the decision can actually be stepping back from something so you can get a better picture, so you can heal, so you can get coaching, so you can get therapy. Whatever it is, you want to evaluate what your options are and look at the pros and cons, right? So we have identifying what your intention is, what is the outcome you're trying to create, the goal that's on the other end, thinking about the different ways that you can get to that goal or outcome, and then you choose boldly. Make your decision based on the best available information that you have for yourself right now. Use your gut, feel into what your heart is saying. Try not to rely so much on the headspace, because your mind is going to introduce all these different thoughts and things that may not resonate with the decision that you're trying to make. So once you put it down on paper, it helps you with that. So that's kind of how you're going to get to the clarity. So you identify, what is my intention? What is the outcome I'm trying to create? What's the goal? Evaluate the options and then choose boldly. And when I say boldly, it means I'm choosing this even if I don't know if the outcome will be exactly what I want. Now let's talk about creating consistency through discipline. After you've made your choice, you've decided boldly, the next thing you want to do is you want to create a plan. So I'm going to now actually show that I'm disciplined towards moving in this direction by creating a plan. I'm going to break down my decisions into steps that I'm going to take, which is what I did with my whole fitness journey. I broke my decision down into specific steps. And then I started to think about, what do I need to do every day? What do I need to do every week? Maybe it's a monthly thing, right? We have to step away from this kind of hypothetical, oh, this is what I want, I've decided. And then you're not really being intentional about the actions that you're taking towards it. All right. So good morning, still morning. All right. The next thing after you create your plan and decide what action steps you're going to take it and when you're going to take those action steps, the next thing is to put a routine in place. So routines are an amazing way to get disciplined about something. I tell you, when it comes to meditation and my whole mindfulness practice and all of that, I have a set routine around it. And it's really helped me to do things like this show. It's helped me to show up for you on a Saturday morning, right? So you want to step into a routine that's going to help you. Your routine may include a mentor, a therapist, a coach, your accountability partner, especially since, if you're like me, you sometimes, you need that person because you're an obliger. So I can categorically say that when I had somebody I was going to the gym with, like somebody that was showing up at my house to pick me up, I was going every day. When I was walking, I used to walk and go hiking in the mountains. And when my friend would come in the morning, of course, I'm jumping out of my bed after the man done drive and come pick me up. I'm getting up to go because I'm an obliger first. So I know that accountability partnerships help me. So maybe for your routine, you need to have somebody there that is helping you to build that consistency. Right? I say, Anya says, hypothetical is so comfortable. Yes, it is. And it also helps you with taking forever to achieve whatever it is you decided that you wanted to go after. And then the last piece of discipline, guys, is to adjust as you need to. So you just take the parts that are necessary and you move forward with those. The things that are not serving you, you let them go. And then you may get to a point where you realize you need to change your decision and you go through the whole process again, right? So the double D formula: decide with clarity and develop discipline with consistency. And inside of each of those, we've just unpacked that when you're deciding with clarity, you have identified your intention or your goal, you've looked at the different options, and you're going to choose boldly. Not just fenke choose. You're choosing boldly that you're going to move in this direction. When it comes to your discipline, you're going to now take that decision and you're going to create a plan. Get some action steps down on paper. Take it out of your head. Be clear about how you're going to move closer to the goal that you have for yourself. And after you've done that plan, put a routine in place. And if you need support, get a coach or an accountability partner to help you as a part of your routine. And then, of course, make the adjustments as you need it. So I'm really hoping that by integrating decisive action with disciplined follow through, that you're not only going to make choices that align with your values and with the desires of your heart, but that you're also going to commit to seeing them through with consistent action. Okay? So thanks so much, guys, for joining Tea Time. Thanks for helping me choose our card today. And I hope that you feel more empowered this week to go forth and make those bold choices, knowing that there's no such thing as a bad decision, because every choice has a valuable lesson in it. And the ones that get you to where you want to go, kudos. The ones that teach you a lesson so that it will help you for future decisions, double kudos. All right. So take care, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and have an amazing, intentional week. Be intentional. Take care, everybody. Bye.